we'll be rolling here. So for this morning, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking just slightly a quick concept here. And I kind of talked about this before, but I want to just make it a bit more practical for the practice that you're about to do. So as you roll, here's really what we want to be doing. We want to make sure that as we roll, we make it as easy as possible. So in my youth, what I would say is that, hard flow. So like I went to a pretty gung-ho Hapkido school. So when I first learned how to roll, and they would be like, basically, math, there's gotta be no math. And, it's like, it's gonna be concrete. This is soft. And a hard flow. And so I adopted that gung-ho attitude, of reality. So here's the consequence. Either I would get injured or I would not practice. So, and I found that actually that's the fate of a lot of people. And then some people kind of get lucky and get through it. And actually what really made the difference was actually Tai Chi, because Tai Chi allowed me to pace myself and reduce the barrier to entry, yet not make me feel like a wuss. And I think that's actually a really key thing. And so as you do this, think in terms of getting yourself to do something. Don't think in terms of whether you can do something or not. Like a lot of people think in terms of, I can't even do this. Don't think in those terms. The real trick is getting yourself to do it. Think about that. However small it is, if you can get yourself to do it, then over time, you're going to get there. Does that make sense? If you can get yourself to do it, that's victory. What's the word for it? In Tai Chi, longevity is considered to be part of your skill. So there was this famous saying where there's a famous master, actually most of you probably heard of it. His name is Cheng Man Cheng. He's called Professor Cheng. He's called the father of American Tai Chi. As a Tai Chi master, he had a shortgevity, like longevity. He passed away, I believe, when he was 70 something, 75, 78, I think. I can't quite remember. But he didn't actually live very long. And one of his disciples, one of his top 5 disciples, T.T. Liang, lived to be 102, if I remember correctly. And someone actually asked something, and so you should know that T.T. Liang and Professor Cheng Man Cheng had a falling apart. So someone asked them, not too long after, my understanding is after they fell apart, and said, what about Professor Cheng Man Cheng? And T.T. Liang gave a very simple answer: I'm still here. And so longevity is considered to be part of your skill. And when T.T. Liang was in his 80s, Stuart Olson, one of his top students, they used to coach the 69ers, especially the linebackers. So they were teaching them alignment so that they could do a better job. And Stuart Olson was thinking, my master is in his 80s. I better take care of him and take care of the big guys, and then have him handle the small guys. And Stuart Olson said he doesn't know how it happened, but before he knew it, he ended up with all the smaller guys. And somehow his 80-year-old teacher was with all the big guys. And saw all these big guys just grunting and having the hardest time, yet at the same time, totally being amazed and enjoying themselves with this really 5 foot something, really small, 80-year-old Chinese guy. And so we got to kind of actually think in those terms. And how do you get to that place? And the answer is actually low barrier to entry. If you can get yourself to do it, it doesn't matter. You got to get yourself to do it. So, it's kind of, so I'm going to just finish on this note, and then I'm going to have you practice with this idea. Because see, roles and the things that you're practicing are inherently actually, what's the word for it? Resistance inducing, because oftentimes you feel pain, oftentimes it's uncomfortable. There's a lot of different reasons. And the more you make it comfortable for yourself, the more your skill will improve. The skill of Tai Chi is bringing in more and more comfort. That is the key skill of Tai Chi. Relaxation means more and more comfort. You need to directly translate that. Does that make sense? So, okay, very good. Okay, I can tell that you guys are getting it. So, when I first started doing a gold series by myself, the gold series, as you guys know, is very extensive, isn't it? So when I first started doing it, I wouldn't do the full thing. I just kind of would go through the motion. Literally, I would just go through the motion just so that I could get myself to do it. I didn't even care I was doing it properly, because I realized one day this properly is making me not practice certain days. Do you see the power of my thinking here? This idea of properly is not even making me practice on certain days. I'm skipping certain days because of this idea of properly. And it's a fui to properly. And so I just started going through the motion, and something interesting started happening. About halfway through the goal series, my body started to awake. So now I have more energy and more motivation. So now I'm actually starting to do the rest properly. And then I'll even go back and do some more things that I kind of went through the motions and properly, and then I end up doing the whole thing. And then I feel good. Do you see the power of this thinking? So reduce the barrier to entry, whatever it is you're doing. And one of the best ways to reduce the barrier of entry is to extend your attention, like I've been teaching you. Be at the full size of your attention. Don't let your attention shrink. When your attention shrinks, you're in fear. So expand your attention. If you can't feel the edges of your attention anymore, then it's at its full size. Ironically, when it feels infinite, it's not infinite, but it connects to the infinite. Because the density of your attention becomes spacious, which is the density of space. So it becomes one with spaciousness. Does that make sense?